Good morning and welcome to all. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you. I am Hans Anderson. My family and I have lived in Bloomington for over 37 years. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering from the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and I have a Master's in Business Administration from the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul. My wife Linda and I have been married going on 50 years and have lived 34 years in our current home. We've raised 5 children here and have 9 grandchildren. By education and experience, I am an electrical engineer and a businessman. I'm a problem solver using innovation, experience, engineering principles with consideration for all sources of input. What our city does for us is the responsibility of businesses, citizens, and the city council through our decision processes. We, the businesses, and the citizens of Bloomington must provide those objectives. How those objectives get implemented is the city government's job. Significant issues today are government regulations, tax levels, debt levels, government responsiveness, inclusiveness, and openness. In the past 8 years, 6 years have had appropriations exceeding revenues. Quoted from the revenues over expenditures line, page 173 of the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report of December 2010, appropriations exceeded revenue by the following percentage for the following years. In 2003, 13%. In 2004, 13%. In 2005, 6%. In 2008, 3%. In 2009, 2%. And last year, 2010, back up to 13%. Covering that period of time, general obligation bond debt increased 285% from $21.9 million to $62.6 million for the years 2001 to 2011, or 11 years, and that comes from pages 178 and 143 of the aforementioned document. Those debts will cost us $15.7 million in interest and will be paid by the citizens of Bloomington. That's found on page 143 of the aforementioned document. Contrary to public knowledge, the Bloomington Civic Center is not fully paid for. A capital lease agreement between the Bloomington Port Authority and the Bloomington City for $8.6 million entered into 2001 has been rolled over into 2010 on December 31st for a price of $5.8 million. That's on page 85 and 86 of the aforementioned document. This is now a taxpayer general obligation debt. A claim of $803,000 in savings is made in that document. I question that statement, but have yet to receive documents to verify the cost of the capital lease for the term versus the original debt and the payment structures. Another interesting process going on in City Hall is the general fund budgetary process. The 2011 forecast for property taxes on 8/12 of 2011 was $38.3 million, raising to $52.2 million in those years of 2012 to 2017. That's a 36% increase in the general fund property tax. That forecast was revised the very next month to 17%, from $38.3 million to $44.8 million as the target increase for the general fund property tax. But as stated by Mr. Bernardson, the minimum is as follows for 2012 to 2017, $38.3 million to $46.3 million in study item number 3, September 9, 2011 memo from him. That's a 21% increase in general fund property taxes. I wonder what the real numbers are. My questions challenging average salary statements by management has uncovered errors in the city's numbers. This indicates oversight is needed. The corrected results was sent to me, but without the answers to the original questions. Lack of proper follow-up and completion of the requested information is indicative of management's effort to be obscure when data is requested or questioned. Errors in average salary calculations between myself and City Hall still exist to the amount of $3 million difference to be resolved. Answers to requests are painfully slow. This has been the case of my request for supporting data on that average salary. Data was requested on 8/25/2011 and answered with a corrected average, but no supporting data. Supporting data was again requested on 10/19 We shall see when it arrives, but it'll probably take 3 or 4 weeks. These are only some of my observations. Anyone interested in more information is welcome to contact me. Our city is a great city to live in and to grow in. I believe we can have a greater city. My analysis of the city current budget and the government leads me to believe we will just have more of the same from the past. I want the opportunity to open up City Hall to all of Bloomington, not just a select insider few. My hope for the future is that we have all business and citizens' interests as the first priority here in City Hall. Thank you for the opportunity and your attention to the details. For any residents here in Bloomington attending this meeting, I respectfully request your consideration on November 8th at the voting place. Thank you. About 2.5 years ago, I started taking apart the Bloomington budgets, 2008, 2009, 2010. I took time out of my own schedule to gather up 5 other communities' budgets and compare them to the Bloomington city budget. And in September 11th of 2010, I presented those results to the City Council. I pointed out a number of differences between Bloomington, Edina, Richfield, Burnsville, Eden Prairie. The City Council and City Management has taken a different position on a lot of that information, and even today, as I stated in my opening statement, I continue to work to find and verify and substantiate my statements against the city statements, which is a very difficult process. So, my stewardship to the city has been as a private citizen, as an individual, as an independent set of eyes, with no paradigm constricting me to look for, find, evaluate, and present the information I have. My position has never been about me as a person. It has been about Bloomington as a city and our budgets and how our city is being managed. So, from that vantage point, I have not had significant involvement inside City Hall. That's why I'm running for mayor. I think that being inside City Hall will give me a significant advantage to be able to resolve some of the issues that I find from the outside. Again, it's a part of that transparency, obscure information, and difficulty and timeliness in getting the information. So. When I came to Minneapolis, I was hired by EMR Computer, and at that time I was an engineer. And during the day, I designed computer interfaces. And at night, I worked at Control Data as a janitor and cleaned the toilets in the development and research area. As time went on, I saw an opportunity in sales and sales work. I sought a job with Signetics, and I got that job as a sales engineer. Shortly after that, Intel posted a job opening, and I successfully acquired that job, and I was the first electrical engineer that Intel Corporation ever hired in a sales position. I did a very good job at that. Later on, I left Intel and became a district manager for Signetics Corporation. Later, after several years, an opportunity arose here in Minneapolis while I was attempting to move to California with Signetics to become a international manager between Signetics and Philips. Philips residing in Eindhoven, Holland. A man by the name of Mr. Keith Peterson hired me as the regional sales manager for National Semiconductor here in Minneapolis. And at that time, Minneapolis was experiencing the collapse of its electronics industry. UNIVAC was winding down, Control Data had wound down, Fabritech had gone away, Lee Data had gone away, and a number of other small businesses in Bloomington based in the electronics industry had stumbled and fallen by the wayside. Minneapolis, as an electronics center at that time also, had fallen down from being the 3rd or 4th largest semiconductor and or electronics industry hotbed in the nation to down into the 8th and 9th level of that industry. Now, at that time, as regional manager for National Semiconductor, National fired both of its distributors here in Minneapolis, hired a new distributor, released its reorganization at the same time, and I stepped in as a regional manager. I had an entirely new sales force, none who had worked for National Semiconductor. We picked up all of the pieces using written goals and objectives every single week, being reviewed and renewed. And through that process, from 4 years, I took a sales budget of $27 million here in Minneapolis to $34 million. I became one of the highest ranking regional sales managers in semiconductor at the time, and National Semiconductor at the time. And Al Enemite stated to the President Charlie Spork as I was leaving the stage from the National Sales Convention with respect to my presentation of my goals and objectives and accomplishments against the requirements of the company for National Semiconductor, Charlie Spork asked Al Enemite, what should we do with Mr. Anderson? And Al Enemite responded to him, I think we need to clone him. Now, those kinds of successes don't come by taking things apart and leaving carnage in the path. Those kinds of successes come from understanding people, working with people, and dedicating yourself to their success. The mayoral position in Bloomington is not about me. It's about the citizens in Bloomington. It's about the businesses in Bloomington. It's about the quality of life in Bloomington. It's not about me. Rick Weibel from the mayor of St. Boniface stated that in one of his books, and it jumped out at me. It was a great big, blinking, highlighted statement. This position is not about me. It is about you, your businesses. It is about you as citizens. It is about Bloomington as a community succeeding. It's a great city. We've done a good job. I've never said we've done anything other than that. But we are all limited in our lives by the paradigms of our past. And unless we are willing to take the risk and step out and accept the challenges of being either different or being a devil's advocate or just presenting new ideas, the risk needs to be taken. I've decided early in this year that it was my time to step out from private life and try to bring back to the community and public life by running for mayor.